The halls are decked, the cider's on, and everybody's guard is down. There's no better time for mischief. See, most folks think winter is a time for peace, for joy, for being nice. But magical folks, we know better. December is when the veil pulls tight, when old spirits walk, and when trickery comes wrapped in ribbon and glitter. It's the season of lights, and lights attract things. Not all of them welcome. So while your neighbors are sipping cocoa or humming along to Bing Crosby, some of us are slipping powders into wrapping paper, loading spells into sugar cookies, and hanging warded wreaths like we've decorated a battlefield. Call it festive. Call it cunning. Call it Christmas Conjure. I'm Papa G, and this is the Feral Folklorist, and today we're putting the wicked back in Yuletide. From Saturnalia to the elf on the shelf, we're unpacking how to use ornaments, cookies, cards, and more as tools for protection, for sweetening, and good old-fashioned magical mayhem. No red soup required, just a little cinnamon, a little sugar, and the right kind of fire. Long before the Hallmark Channel got involved, the winter season was already bursting at the seams with magic, and not the gentle kind either. When we talk about Yule, we're talking about a collision of old world traditions, Norse, Germanic, Celtic, Roman, and eventually Christian. A tangle of feast days, fire festivals, death rites, and survival magic. All of it layered together over centuries until we ended up with something that smells like cinnamon, but carries the bones of something much older. Let's talk about the Norse. In pre-Christian Scandinavia, Yule was celebrated around the winter solstice, December 21st or thereabouts, the longest night of the year. A time when the sun seemed to vanish, and with it, the boundary between the living and the dead got really thin. People would light bonfires, tell stories, feast for days, and drag home massive logs to burn, the original Yule logs. Every spark that jumped from the fire was believed to foretell how many piglets or calves would be born in the spring. That log didn't just warm the house, it was an act of divination, an omen. And the party didn't stop until the last ember went out, sometimes 12 full nights later. They'd also bring evergreens into the home, not because they were pretty, but because they didn't die. While everything else shriveled and turned brown, the evergreens stayed green, and that made them powerful, a symbol that life would return. Now, Yule wasn't all cozy. It was time to welcome friends into your home, but also a time to lock your doors. In Norse and Germanic lore, this was also the time when spirits roamed freely, especially Odin, riding his 8-legged horse through the sky, judging who would thrive or perish in the coming year. Some say that imagery, an old man flying overhead, deciding fates, got stitched into our modern image of Santa Claus. Reindeer, possibly borrowed from Odin's flying beasts. Donner and Blitzen, their names come from the German words for thunder and lightning, both under Odin's control. So yes, Santa might be a little more terrifying than we thought. If you jump over to Rome, you've got Saturnalia, a wild, week-long festival leading up to the solstice. Named after Saturn, god of plenty, it was a time of misrule. Social orders flipped. Slaves were temporarily served by masters. People dressed backwards, drank heavily, and roamed the streets half-naked singing songs. If this sounds familiar, In England, this energy morphed into the tradition of the Lord of Misrule, and in Scotland he was called the Abbot of Unreason. It was festive, it was chaotic, and sometimes it was dangerous. In ancient times, the Lord of Misrule might even be sacrificed when the party ended. So be careful if you're ever crowned king for a day. Meanwhile, early Christians didn't celebrate the birth of Jesus, not until around the 4th century. And when they needed a date, they picked December 25th, co-opting Mithra's birthday. He was another sun deity worshipped in Rome, often depicted as being born from a rock and adored by shepherds. Sound familiar again? Rather than outlaw the pagan festivals, the church absorbed them, rewrapping Yule in tinsel and calling it the Nativity. The result, a whole lot of holy symbols with deep pagan roots. Even caroling has its pagan roots. The word carol used to mean a circle dance with singing, wassailing, roaming from house to house singing and offering blessings, was about banishing evil and calling in luck for the village. And wreaths, originally used at funerals in ancient Greece, that represented the internal cycle of life and death. In Appalachia, wreaths were used as mourning signs, hung on doors with notes pinned to them, letting the community know someone had passed. Over time, they transformed from symbols of death to symbols of protection, guardians at the door to keep more death from coming in. Now we slap bows on them and hang them over scented pine cones. But the magic is still there, especially when you know how to activate it. So when you look at a modern Christmas scene, a tree, a wreath, some candles, a cookie tin, you're looking at a magical toolkit disguised as tradition. And that's where we get to play. Now here's where things get fun, because if you've got even a pinch of folk magic in your bones, you'll start to see the whole Christmas season as a wide open window of opportunity. Because here's the truth. People let their guard down during the holidays. They're distracted, emotional, generous, and tired. And they're surrounded by objects of deep magical potential, and they don't even know it. So while they're pouring eggnog and singing carols, we're out here fixing sugar, enchanting ornaments, and sliding petitions into things that glitter. Let's walk through some of the best ways to turn this season into a spell. We have wreaths as wards. You want a protective charm that nobody questions? Hang a wreath. Wreaths are ancient symbols of the life and death cycle, but they also make the perfect shield for your doorway, and you can boost their power with magical botanicals and a few conjure tricks. Holly is used for protection, good fortune, and to drive away harmful spirits. Then you have mistletoe, not just for kissing, but for warding off enemies and love jinxes. Then you take bay leaves, and you write petitions on them, tuck them into the wreath, or burn them after New Year's to clear the slate. Fern fronds, used to reverse hexes and stop evil at the threshold. Anoint the branches with condition oils like Wall of Fire or Protect Me or House Blessing, and sprinkle a light dusting of sachet powder like Banish Negativity or Devil Begone. Spray it with cinnamon oil if you want to draw money into the home. Make it pretty, hang it high, and let it work all season. Then we have ornaments as amulets. Ornaments are tiny, glittery spell jars that hang on your tree. You can fill glass ornaments with herbs, roots, petitions, and curios. Use colors to signal intention, like red for love, green for money, or blue for peace. Write sigils on opaque ornaments, bless them, and let them hang in plain sight. You can even baptize, those little ornaments shaped like people, such as gingerbread men, toy soldiers, ballerinas, and name them for a specific person. Anoint them with oil, give them a command, and let it sit on the tree like a very quiet doll baby. And if someone ever smashes the ornament and finds the spell, just say, "Oh, it was an old family blessing." Or write it in code. Use symbols. Seal the cap with glue. They'll never know. Then we have Christmas cards and wrapping paper. Let's talk about sneak attack magic. Christmas cards are the perfect vehicle for sachet powders. Dust the back lightly with money drawing, love attracting, or even hot foot, then blow off the excess. When your target touches the card, the spell transfers right onto their hands. Want to sweeten a boss or a coworker? Powder the card and send it with a little note of appreciation. If you want to drive someone out of your life, hit the back of that card with hot foot and leave the return address off. For gifts, wrap your intentions inside the paper. Write your petition in white chalk on the back side of the wrapping paper, which is usually white. Use strong paper people might want to save, keeping your spell in their house all year. Or dust the outside of the package after it's wrapped so you don't leave visible traces under the tape. Then we move into the kitchen for cookies and sugar and sweetening work. So let's get into the sugar magic of the season. A few weeks before your holiday baking, fix a jar of sugar by placing your petition inside a container of sugar, shake it daily, and pour all your good intentions into it. Then use the sugar in your holiday cookies. That's called sweetening someone's spirit. It works great for bosses or relatives, neighbors, lovers, landlords. Even if you don't bake, just buy a tin of cookies, sprinkle your fixed sugar in the box, and seal it back up. It's subtle, it's traditional, but it's potent. If you want to take it a step further, make gingerbread men as voodoo dolls. Name them, bless them, decorate them with intention. For enemy work, keep the cookie, don't give it. Break off a piece each day for 9 days. Crush it and flush the dust, or bury it at a crossroads. Or you could bite the cookie each day and spit the chewed pieces off of your property, cursing them to disappear from your life. And if you want to influence a partner, fix the cookie, decorate it. Make sure it's the prettiest one in the batch so that they can't resist it. Now, what about Elf on the Shelf and spy spirits? Yes, even that creepy little elf can be used. Elf on the Shelf is a ready-made puppet. Anoint it, fix it, bless it, even mail it to someone you want to watch over or work on. It's already got a reputation for spying. No one questions it, no one suspects it. And that's the theme of the whole magical season. Hide the spell in plain sight. For all its garland and glitter, Yule was never gentle. Long before it became a season of eggnog and gift receipts, this was a time when people feared the dark. The world felt brittle, like it could crack under the weight of snow and silence. Food was scarce. The dead were near. And if you weren't careful, something might come knocking that wasn't invited. In old Europe, the 12 days of Yule were just as haunted as Halloween, maybe more, because this time, the ghosts weren't outside your house. They were inside, sitting quietly with you by the fire and watching. Let's start with the Wild Hunt, an ancient Northern European legend that still gives some folks pause when the wind howls just right. Led by Odin in the Norse versions, or sometimes by a ghostly goddess like Perchta or Frau Hall. The wild hunt was a storm of spirits flying across the winter sky. Restless dead, fae, fallen warriors, divine judges. It was said that if you saw the hunt and didn't get out of the way, or worse, if you got taken by it, you'd be dragged into the spirit world and wouldn't come back. It wasn't just a ghost story, it was a warning. Stay inside, light the fire, and protect your home. And that's the root of many of our cozy traditions. The hearth wasn't about ambiance. It was a magical boundary. The candles weren't just for decoration. They were wards. In Germany, you had Krampus, a horned, hairy beast who punished misbehaving children, sometimes by dragging them off in a sack. He showed up around December 5th, St. Nicholas's Day. And yes, St. Nick gave out gifts, but Krampus, he gave consequences. There's even an older alpine figure called Perchta, who was said to slit open the bellies of children who lied or broke taboos and stuffed them with straw. She was feared and respected, often leaving coins in bowls for well-behaved homes. Her dual nature, blessing and punishment, echoes the fine line between protection and wrath found in many winter spirits. And let's not forget about Saturnalia. The Roman week-long festival of excess flipped the social order. Servants were allowed to mock their masters. People wore masks, and wine flowed like water. Rules were suspended. It was ritualized chaos, and it left a mark. That's where we get the Lord of Misrule, a role that continued into medieval England. One poor soul would be chosen to preside over the feast, dressed in mock regal attire, and given free rein to cause mischief. But in older times, that same figure might be sacrificed at the end of the celebration. It wasn't just satire. That person became a magical offering. So misrule was fun, until it wasn't. And that's what winter magic teaches us. The light is only comforting if you understand the dark is holding back. We light candles not because they're beautiful, but because the world outside is cold and uncertain. We decorate trees because the evergreen reminds us that life persists, even when everything else appears dead. And we give gifts because they're offerings, insurance that we will be remembered by the people closest to us. So, you hang a wreath to keep out death. You drink hot cider to warm the soul. And you stay inside because the gods are flying overhead and you'd rather not catch their eye. This season has always walked the fine line between mirth and menace. So when you're practicing magic in December, remember, you're not just conjuring wishes and blessings. You're working in the shadow of some of the oldest, darkest forces your ancestors ever named. And that's not a reason to fear. It's a reason to respect. So here we are, ready to cast holiday magic. December's dressed in red and green, but under that ribbon and pine is something far older and more powerful than most folks realize. The season can be a spell, a ritual dressed up as tradition, and if you've got the right eyes, you can see it for what it is, a magical free-for-all. Because the truth is, holiday magic is folk magic. It's timing and symbolism. It's charm work hiding in baked goods and powders dusted over wrapping paper. It's the glitter-covered amulet hanging from your tree. It's intention tucked into every stocking, every package, every Merry Christmas said through gritted teeth. So while the world is distracted by carols and chaos, we do our work. We protect and bless. And sometimes we throw a little holiday trick where it's well deserved. So we're going to close out this holiday episode with one full spell working, simple, sneaky, and strong. The kind you can do in a room full of relatives who think you've just got good taste in pine-scented crafts. So the spell is the ornament of influence. And the purpose is to subtly influence a target's behavior or mindset using a holiday ornament fixed as a magical charm. So what you'll need is one hollow or opaque ornament. It can be glass or plastic. A slip of paper with your petition written clearly or in code if you're cautious. Appropriate herbs, roots, or curios based on your goal. Example, you would be lavender for peace, maybe cinnamon for influence or money, magnolia for fidelity. An additional thing you could add might be a small item linked to your target, a piece of their hair, their signature, maybe a little piece of thread from one item of their clothing or a button. You might use a condition oil like influence or do as I say, maybe peaceful home or love drawing. You write your petition and fold it towards you 3 times if you're drawing something in, and anoint it with the oil. Fill the ornament with the paper and your chosen ingredients. If it opens, seal it shut with glue. If it's hollow through a top cap, use tweezers or a funnel to load it. When you anoint the outside of the ornament with a drop of oil, speak your intention. Let this light reflect my will. Let this charm be quiet still. On branch it hangs, in heart it hums, until my working here is done. Then you hang it in a prominent place on your tree, a mantle, a doorway, ideally where the target will see it often. You can even gift it to them. Let it sit for the full season. And if you want to, dispose of it discreetly after the new year, or keep it as a permanent working if it's in your home. Christmas Conjure isn't about ruining someone's holiday. It's about using what's already there, the symbols, the timing, the traditions, to do real magical work when no one's expecting it. Because most people don't think magic looks like gingerbread or pine cones. They don't know that the card you sent them is dusted with influence powder. They don't realize the wreath on your door is a ward of protection. And they don't see the elf on the shelf you mailed is actually watching their behavior. And that's the power in it. No smoke, no bells, no big altar. Just you, your will, and a season built to carry magic straight through the front door. You've been listening to the Feral Folklorist, where seasonal cheer can have a bite to it. This has been a special bonus episode to wrap up Season 1 of the Feral Folklorist. Thanks for spending your first season with me, digging through folklore, dirt, ghosts, and grit. We'll be back for Season 2 on January 5th, 2026. And next time we're heading straight back to the graveyards and shadowy corners, because January always brings new things to bury, and a few old ones that refuse to stay down. So until then, keep those Christmas cards dusty and your cookies fixed. And if you must be good for goodness sake, use a little magic to make damn sure you get what you want. If you'd like to hear the After the Show episode where I go deeper into the folklore, spill a little extra dirt, and sometimes rant just a bit, consider becoming a patron over on my Patreon at patreon.com/PapaG. You can find the official site for the podcast at feralfolklorist.com. And if you need spell supplies for any of the workings we talk about on the show, our metaphysical shop, Aromages Botanica, has been weaving magic for over 25 years. That's over at aromages.com.